Hey, what is up guys, Rackals here. Welcome back to another Quake video. Today I'm going to be showing off this super cool Quakecraft overlay pack that was made by Yosho. Essentially, it gives a custom texture to every single railgun in the game, so you're not just holding like a default hoe every time. There's 21 total guns, 20 if you don't include the basic railgun, which just has default texture. So I'll probably only play one game with each gun to kind of show it off and talk about what I like and dislike about them, because otherwise this video would be way too long. It also changes some of the GUI stuff, such as like the dash cooldown, the barrels, and all the different parts. This is a work in progress pack, so I think he's still planning on adding and changing more stuff. So if he comes out with any big updates in the future, I might make another video. I actually have no idea how these are organized, because they're not organized by alphabetical order, and they're also not organized by like how fast they can shoot. So I literally have no idea how they set these up. But yes, we will start off with the Hyper Beam railgun and work our way down from there. Okay, so we're in the first game here with the Hyper Beam railgun, and this one is actually animated, which is pretty cool. Not all of them are, but I think some of them are. I don't know, obviously we'll go through them all so we can see. But yeah, this one just has like a super nice glow to it, and the wires and the hyper beam part of it, I don't really know how they chose the name for this one. Yeah, I do think it looks quite nice. This one's actually a 1.3 trigger, which means it shoots the exact same speed as the basic railgun. So I don't think I ever have really used this gun other than like to win with it for the AP. Because there's just no point in buying this gun at all, literally. That's one thing that I've never really liked about Quake and the Quake shop, is there's so many useless cosmetics. Not just like the guns themselves, but there's parts that just don't even attach to guns. I don't know, if you know anything about the Quake shop, or if you've tried to look at it and don't understand it, you'll probably understand what I mean. Next up, we've got the Superior railgun. This one's actually even worse than the basic railgun. It's 1.4 second trigger. So again, not really sure why anyone would buy or use this other than for the AP or for maybe like a challenge or something. The texture itself is probably one of the more simple ones in this whole pack. It basically just looks like a blaze rod with the, you know, the hoe texture attached to the end of it. Yeah, the more I look at it, the more it just looks like a blaze rod. I wonder if that's what it actually is. Also, it's worth noting that this the pack I'm showcasing is only changing the hose. It's just an overlay. All the blocks themselves and stuff are part of a different resource pack, which is called the Reef by dayzvirtual. I'll leave a link to both the overlay for Quake and just the regular pack I'm using underneath it in the description, of course. Alright. Oh, I missed the last shot. No. There we go. Okay, next up we have the worm. As you can see, it's just a wooden looking hoe with a worm on top of it, basically. This trigger is actually meant to be like a challenge trigger. It only shoots once every 5 seconds. So you can see my XP bar at the bottom counts down to when I can shoot again, and it takes forever. So I don't know if I'll be getting a win in today's video with this, but in the future I could, you know, obviously make a challenge video trying to get a win, because it is not easy in solos, let me tell you that. I like how neon and vibrant the actual worm is, like on the top of the railgun. It is so pink. It's so funny. Also, I changed my beam to be rainbow in between the last gun and this one, just because with the default beam, it's really hard to see because I have the firework particles off. So yeah, the gun itself doesn't give me rainbow abilities when I'm shooting. It's just the beam I selected. Yeah, I'm not even gonna break double digits. This is kind of sad, man. This is such a hard challenge. Ugh. Oh my gosh, it takes so long to recharge. Got him? Yeah, well, I got double digits, you know, I'll take that. I really did not expect to get anywhere near to winning this game. So next up we have the Creeper railgun. This one's actually kind of cool. It's got green and red with like a sort of screen underneath it. I'm not really sure exactly what's meant to be on the screen. Maybe it's counting down like a bomb, like a creeper. You can't really totally see it. There's like a bit of a fuse on top of it, so I think it is meant to be like a bomb or something like that. And this gun is a 1.2 trigger, so it is just barely faster than the basic railgun. It's much nicer than the 5-second trigger, I can tell you that much. Yeah, I'm looking at the animation trying to figure out like what it exactly is, but it just seems to be a repeating pattern. I think the funny thing about this pack overall is that obviously all of the guns have custom textures, but the thing is, most people don't use any of these guns. Like, I can't really think of anyone who, you know, uses the Creeper railgun out of all things. So some of the textures do kind of go to waste that way. Okay, next up we have the Turtle, and this one's sort of another challenge railgun in that it's way worse than like the default, so you wouldn't buy this unless you were specifically trying to challenge yourself or go for the AP, I suppose. It is a 2.5 second trigger. As the name suggests, it's quite slow, you know, the Turtle, but it's definitely not the slowest. We'll get to worse ones later on, which should be fun to try and see how we do. Oh my god, 2.5 seconds, man, it's so slow. We kind of have to like lay a bit low and then jump out at the last second a lot of the time. It does sort of force you to focus on your movement more, which is, you know, I guess it's useful if you want to practice that sort of thing, but other than that, it's just quite difficult. And as for the looks of it, it's obviously supposed to be like a turtle shell, which I do think it looks quite nice, sort of like the turtles in the newer versions, like 1.16 and whenever turtles came out. What was that, 1.13? Aquatic update? Yeah, I think so. Oh my gosh, man, this is impossible. Yeah. You're shooting more than twice as fast as me. Not a whole lot I could do with that. From one challenge to another, baby. This here is the slowest gun in the entire game, the snail. It shoots once every 9 seconds. That's it. Just once every 9 seconds. Again, you can see the cooldown is my XP bar. It is slowly trickling down. So far, I've missed both my shots, and I've only had time to shoot 2, so I think the trick for these kind of guns, if you want to try to get it in solo, is you need to try to get the rapid fire power up, but it is, I see it, it's spawned over there. If I can just get to it, it should hopefully let me get a few kills. Let's go, let's go. The only time basically I ever use rapid fire. Well, that's not true, I do use it sometimes, but generally, especially on this map, it is not very useful. This one's kind of cute because it's got like just the little snail on top of, again, the wooden railgun. It's a lot like the worm. In fact, if you remove the snail shell, it would look very similar to the worm, I guess, because it's just like the pink line. But yeah, this game is not even close. Not even close. Oh, come on. How is it still on cooldown? There we go. I got him. 9 seconds it's literally just impossible. Like, there's nothing I can do. Next up, we have one of my favorites, actually. This one, again, is animated. All of the animated ones are super cool, honestly. That's what really brings it home for me, I think. This is the Redstoner. Not only do I like just because of how pretty it is, it's also 1.1 trigger, I think. But yeah, I just love the animatedness on this pack, the little animated shaft, I guess you would call it, and then, you know, the actual hoe part of it itself, it's got like a redstone texture to it, which I think is super cool. Coming up next, we have the BFG. This one's pretty cool too, it is also animated. I have no idea what the inspiration for the look of this gun is. I know that the BFG is an actual weapon from Quake, so maybe it's meant to replicate that, the original one. This one's a 1.1 second trigger, and it actually used to be the best gun in the game. Like years ago, this was the #1 gun for a long time, until of course over the years they have kind of slowly added more and more, each one usually progressively getting faster or slower when they added like all the challenge triggers. Yeah, this one has like a pretty sleek design, I guess you could say. It's like modern looking slash kind of just like very techy. I don't know. It looks like something you'd find in a laboratory, which I think is pretty neat. It's definitely not one of my favorites, but I am a huge sucker for all the animated ones. Next up, we have the Love Gun. Aww. Unfortunately, we are a little bit past Valentine's Day, and as you can see in the chat, the message for this gun is fell in love with. That's just default. Almost every gun in the game actually has a custom death message, if you did not know. And this one has a very fitting texture, unlike the last one where I'm not totally sure like where he was coming from with the design. This one, very straightforward. It's just a big heart, and it's nice and pink, and it's very cute. So if you ever want to spread some love while you're playing Quake, then this is the gun for you. Combine this gun with the heart's beams, so you're shooting hearts whenever you fire a shot, then, you know, it's just kind of game over for them. Smother them with love to get the victory. This gun is a 1.4 second trigger, I think? I really should pay more attention before I, you know, start recording and spitting these facts that are possibly wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's right, so. There we go, GG. And we got called a hacker with the power of love, baby. Next up, we've got the Butter Slapper. It's very yellow, is all I can say about this one. It's a 1.5 second trigger, so again, it's more of a challenge than anything. Way back in the day, the default trigger speed used to be 1.5, so this would have been about as equal to the old basic railgun, but they since bumped that down to be 1.3 seconds, which is a very good change, I think, because 1.5 is quite difficult to play with if you're up against other skilled players. And I kind of wonder if I should have turned this beam back off, actually, because by default, this gun shoots out golden ingots instead of the rainbow, but because I have my own custom beam on, it's just the rainbow. I've always loved the rainbow beam. It's very pretty. Rainbow beam supremacy, like what can I say? But yeah, not a whole lot I can say about the texture on this gun. It is literally just a very yellow railgun. Next up, we've got the Blue Lagoon. This gun is actually the one that I used way back when I was starting. I used this for a long time until I unlocked the 0.9 trigger and got the apple core. One thing with a lot of these guns is that part of the texture is obviously kind of obscured by just the edge of my screen. which is a little bit unfortunate. I suppose if I turned bobbing on, maybe you guys could see a little bit more, but this one does have like a cool wave texture, nice and animated. And overall, it's just a very solid gun with a very solid texture. Again, I do wish that I could see the entire thing, because I do think it would make it look a little better. If I shake my screen left and right, you can sort of see it a little bit better. Yeah, that's a common complaint with like a couple of these guns that I'll mention it again coming up with another gun I think we'll be seeing soon. But this gun forever holds a special place in my heart because, like I said, I did use it for a very long time before I switched to the Apple Core back way back. Well, I say way back in the day, it was like a year ago that I kind of started Quake, but GG. Next up, we've got the Harvester, which is probably the most hoe-like of all of them because it's sort of, I think, intentionally made to look like a hoe or a sickle. It's got like, I think it's intended to be wheat, like pieces of wheat stuck onto the actual blade part of it. And then of course the handle has the little extra knob sticking out of it for the two-handed grip or something. Man, I don't know, I'm no farmer, but it's cool. It's got a sort of more of a medieval style to it than a lot of the other ones obviously are sort of more technological in a way, like the BFG one. It's a 1.5 second trigger, so again, worse than what the default is, but if you like the look of it or if you just really want to farm people, then I guess this is the gun for you. Yeah, also this is actually completely unrelated to anything to do with this video, but I moved my microphone finally. For the past 4 years maybe? How long have I had this mic? I'm gonna say 4 years. It has always been attached directly to my desk because I didn't have anywhere else to put it. And that meant that whenever I bumped my desk, especially typing, that sort of thing, it would be super loud and it would echo like forever and ever. It would make this huge loud banging noise. But now it is attached to a separate desk, so it won't happen anymore, which is fantastic because hopefully it won't sound so bad. Next up, a fan favorite, we've got the cookie cannon. This one is 1.1s, so, you know, it's pretty good. And this is another one where I wish I could see more of the texture, because I think the right side is sort of cut off. There is actually like a fuse attached to it, because, you know, it's meant to be a cannon. It's literally just a cannon made out of cookies is the design here, which I think is definitely pretty funny. But again, you just can't quite actually see the fuse or the right part of the cannon at all, which is sad, but I definitely think this is a good take on how to make a cookie cannon. I have no artistic ability at all, nor do I have the time or patience to try to figure out how to make one of these using the Optifine CIT features. I guess maybe I should have mentioned, but this pack actually does require Optifine to function correctly. I don't think that mine would look anything like that or nearly as good, that's for sure. Next up, the bling bling thing. This is the signature gun of AP hunters and random people who have used boosters worldwide because it's the best gun that you can buy without having to have any sort of achievements or prestige in the game, because the triggers, the 0.9 triggers and the 0.85 triggers obviously have a lot of requirements surrounding them so that the game isn't just like pay to win, meaning this is usually what people go with, and which is funny because, you know, they're wasting a lot of money. You don't actually have to buy a full gun for you to get the effects of it, if that makes sense. Like if you just buy the 1 second trigger and apply it, then you can shoot every 1 second. So you don't have to have the full gun for it to work. As for the gun itself, it's kind of got like an iron rod, I think, that's diamond plated, and then the gold blade, if you will. I'm not really sure what else you would call that part of the hoe other than the blade, which is very fitting because, again, if I had this custom beam off, which I keep saying I'm going to turn it off and then I'm not doing it, this gun shoots out diamonds, which is pretty neat. You'd think that shooting out diamonds would be sort of more of like a late game design than one that you can get right off the bat, which is a little bit funny, but to be fair, this probably was one of the better guns at the time. And GG. Next up, we've got Le Bizarre. It's the only railgun that's named in French for some reason. Quake actually does have, or especially used to have, quite a big French community. What is this guy doing? Okay, I don't think that guy had any idea how to play the game because he was just hopping around while I repeatedly missed him. Again, I have great aim, don't ever judge. Yeah, Quake used to have a very big French community because a very big YouTuber named Apierre used to play a lot of Quakecraft way back in the day. And I think there is still definitely quite a lot of French players. A lot less than there used to be, but of course there's just a lot less players in general than what there used to be in Quakecraft, that's for sure. I'm not sure if this is exactly what was intended, but this gun reminds me a lot of the Joker from the Batman, obviously. It's sort of in like a question mark shape with his signature green and purple colors. So that's the sort of impression I get, and I think it makes sense because Le Bizarre does mean the bizarre in French, obviously. And, you know, the Joker's he's a puzzling guy. He's a bizarre, weird guy. It makes sense to me. So yeah, overall, not really a huge fan of the design. Like, I don't think I would ever use this gun, just because you can't even really see a lot of it. It goes off to the side of the screen, which is a little unfortunate, but it's just a bit simple for my likes. Next up, we've got the Fabled Railgun, and this is a gun that I constantly forget even exists. Like, I've seriously never seen anybody using this. Its chat message is magnified, which I'm not really sure why or what the correlation is between Fabled Railgun and magnifying something, but I mean, who am I to question the Hypixel admins? It's a 1.2 trigger, so it's slightly better than the default, but I wouldn't really recommend buying this. Like, I can't think of any real reason you would want to buy this, because the 1.1 trigger is not really much more expensive than the 1.2 trigger. Plus, there's cheaper options if you want to go with the 1.2. As for the design itself, again, it's pretty simple. With a name like Fabled Railgun, there's really not much to go off of to begin with, so what he came up with here is pretty fair. It's just, you know, the green rod with the gold blade, and at the very bottom, you can't quite see it, but there is sort of a golden ball at the bottom of the rod. Almost this entire game left, so it's just me versus two people, which is very annoying. Okay, last couple of shots here. Let's see if I can... Oh, he's lagging? He's just stuck? What the heck? He just got stuck in midair and then I got shot. That was tragic. I wanted to go like a trick shot. Here we go, hold on. That was terrible. Oh my god. Like that. It's a trick shot, guys. I was midair. I swear. I swear. Knock knock. Who's there? It's the apple corer. There's no joke there. I don't know why I said that. This one is very true to its name. It's got a big red apple up on the top of it, sticking out from the red blade and the white rod. It's a pretty simple design and, you know, straightforward considering the name is Apple Core. I like this one quite a bit, not only because it's obviously extremely fitting, I just think that it's one of the better designs that's simplistic without being too simple like some of the other ones are, like the Fabled Gun or the Butter Slapper, for example, I'm not huge fans of. It's probably within like my top 3 textures within this whole pack. Maybe my second favorite, honestly. I still have not covered my favorite one yet, so be sure to stick around to the end for that, you know, quick advertising there. Gotta make sure I get my watch time. In my opinion, the Apple Core is probably one of the most iconic Quakecraft guns of all time, just because I think it's like the most commonly used one. However, the other 0.9 second trigger is the Railgun of Darkness. It's very dark. That's all I can say. It is actually very slightly animated. I have no idea how well it'll show up on camera, especially since I am only able to do 720p, which I have been thinking of looking into seeing if I can get 1080p to work on my computer. Because my PC is not particularly the best, which is why I've always done 720p. But at the very bottom of the blade, you can see it is just slightly purple, like animated going from left to right, the glowing parts. And then the whole rod itself is just a solid purple color. Not gonna lie, I actually never noticed that this gun was even animated before I started recording just now. I do think that it's a little too dark, which I know is a bit ironic coming from a gun that's named a Railgun of Darkness, but I wish it did have a little more color to it, a little more contrast would be nice, I think. Ladies and gentlemen, the penultimate railgun of today's video, the Platinum Smelter, and this gun is indeed my favorite one for various reasons. It is obviously animated, the tip of it. I'm not sure exactly what it's meant to be. Maybe it sort of looks like a drill or like a power beam in a way. I don't totally know what the inspiration was, but what I do know is that it looks pretty damn cool. It's literally the tied for the best gun in the game, so it's this or the gun that'll be showcasing after this is what I have to choose between when I'm normally playing, so I'm definitely going to play with this one the majority of the time. And for the final gun of today's video, we have the Reaper. Now, to be honest, this is probably one of, if not my least favorite texture in this entire pack, which is a little bit unfortunate. I find it a bit too long and a bit too plain. I know that it does have, you know, the red strip at the bottom, which helps, but I don't know, I just genuinely don't like this texture, especially in comparison to the previous one we looked at, the Platinum Smelter. The Reaper and the Platinum Smelter are both the only two guns that use a 0.85 trigger, which means that if I'm playing competitively or for fun, or if I'm just playing in general, I'm obviously going to use the best gun that I can. If I had the choice between this one and that one, I'm taking the Platinum Smelter all day. In fact, I actually used to main the Reaper. This was my gun of choice until I started using that pack. And then I switched simply because I find this gun quite ugly. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way. It comes down to choice, of course, and let me know what you guys think of this gun and what your favorite gun is from the ones I showcased. It's 20 whole guns we went through, so I think it would be pretty interesting to find out which ones you guys like the most or which ones you guys really don't like. And one thing that I will mention is that the maker of the pack, Yosho, has actually been working on updates since it came out, and I know that he has mentioned remaking some of the gun textures that when the Reaper is included in one of those. So hopefully in the future he will revamp it and make it look quite a bit nicer, because I'm just not really a huge fan of the current one. Maybe I'll make another video on it, showcase all the changes, because I know he wanted to change some other stuff, especially in the GUI, certain armor pieces like the Quake Zodia, which is a special armor set. Whatever he wants to change, I will probably cover it in a future video, but that's going to be it for this video. If you did enjoy, please be sure to leave a like, and if you want the pack, I will leave a link to it in the description, as I always do with all of my videos. In the future sometime, I will probably make a video or two trying to get wins with both the 5-second trigger and the 9-second trigger, but yeah, I really just can't be bothered to try to go get a win with those guns right now. Those will be their own videos, so be on the lookout for that, of course. If you guys missed my last video, I hit network level 250, which means I have the Black Plus now, which is pretty cool. You guys can go check that out in the last video I uploaded where I hit it mid-game. But yeah, I'm going to end it off here before I continue rambling on for way longer than I need to. Thank you guys so much for watching. I've been Rackals, and goodbye.